Hey guys, Slizzardman here. We're going to do a quick video on how to make a suspended wrist roller. The advantage to using a suspended wrist roller is that when you're using a handheld wrist roller, your shoulders have to support the weight. This causes, for heavy weights, a lot of times this causes internal rotation, and that's already a problem for most people, so it's just taking a bad situation and making it worse. Even if you do what I suggest with my shoulder videos and you keep your shoulders healthy, you're still going to have the issue of having to cheat as you get very strong and start using heavier weights. You won't be able to use muscular tension all the time because of the physics involved with an unstable object that's very heavy. You're going to have to sort of wrestle with the wrist roller. And when it comes to building wrist strength, that's not the most ideal way to do it. What you really want to be able to do is expose the wrist to heavy loads where it can't cheat. Alright, now for building explosive wrist strength, again, even still, this kind of a setup is superior because you're able to use pure muscular force from the wrist only. The traps aren't helping. The legs aren't helping. You can't get any kind of a lift, which is usually what people end up using during handheld wrist rolling stuff. So by putting it onto a support, and this could be put through a power rack, this could be put, I like the rings because it's a frictionless surface. There's nothing that this sticks on. When you have it on a rack, especially with heavy weights, it's going to be like rolling it across the floor. If you push, it will roll, and that makes it easier. When you're on this, that doesn't work because the rings move with you. So you try and push, well, you don't get that roll. All you get is that thing going away from you. So when you're using a setup like this, you're going to be able to work the wrist better. Things to keep in mind. Wrists should be straight. You don't want them twisted over or over. You want it straight. So that means if you're standing straight out in front of you and you're gripping the roller, then you're going to need to be at a little bit of an outward angle, probably about 30 degrees. If I stay squared up, and I'm going to be here, then this is my wrist angle. Take a look at the back. It's cocked over like that. These bones here are not lined up with these bones, which are here. See that angle? Off. You want it to be straight. Very important. Now, and you'll feel it immediately. I mean, you'll feel stuff moving in your wrist and crunching, and it'll be terrible. Okay, so this is something that you'll figure out very quickly on your own if you choose not to listen to me. Now, what you're going to do here is take rope, wrap it around. Actually, first you want to sand this. You want to take 80 grit sandpaper. It has to be rough, okay? And sand really in whatever direction you want for the rope. It doesn't matter too much. Put glue all over the place where you want the rope, and then wrap the rope around and tie it off. Just make sure it's tight, and it's not going to go anywhere. It really doesn't matter too much what kind of knot you use. I personally prefer using hitches because they cause extra pressure, but you know, do some Google searches, decide on a knot you like, experiment until you make it work. Now, once you've got this part made, your handle, you're going to just attach a load. I've got my kettlebell down on the ground with the rope that I just tied to a spring clip. I mean, you could just tie it off each time, however you want to do it. You could use, rope attached to chain or preferably a loading pin. It's easier. If you go to Torque Athletics, it's like 30-something bucks for a pretty good loading pin. It's going to hold more than you'll ever use for this. So that's not a bad investment for people who are serious about working out at home and would like to have a little bit of an easier way to load this kind of thing up. Now, however you load it, once you're ready to use it, you're going to do two things. You're going to get in position with both hands. I don't suggest that you use both hands for actual strength work for two reasons. One, and the biggest reason is that your wrists are going to be off. If you're trying to stand in front of it, by nature, your wrist has to cock like this. Okay? That's bad. That's not good for your wrist. Instead, you're better off just using one arm and being at that off angle. Now, you could just twist it like that, and that's certainly okay. I prefer to just stand off at the side, but whatever you do, this is how it's going to work. And you can absolutely go all the way forward, pretty much into a false grip. I mean, you won't be able to go all the way, but pretty close. This pipe's just too big for that. And same thing. See it from the other side. Right? Up and down. Now, what I do suggest is that you use both hands to get the weight up. Once the weight is off the ground and you're fully supported it, grab, squeeze, and roll. That's it. This is not a super duper technical exercise. Things to watch out for: don't roll the shoulder in like this as you do things. Some people are in that habit from benching and things like that. It's just going to make things worse. You want to be able to just use the wrist. Okay? Just the wrist. Now you notice, by using one hand at a time, I'm able to keep constant tension. When it comes to building up the tendons, the most important thing for this kind of exercise is that this is a recovery tool. It does build up the strength in the tendon slowly, and it does build up the muscles. But the biggest thing this is going to do is build up a lot of lactate, which is going to build a lot of, well, it's not going to build, but it's going to cause a lot of growth hormone to be secreted. And once you're done exercising, growth hormone heals connective tissue primarily. That means that your tendons are what's going to benefit more than anything else. Okay? And that's really important because that's where people get hurt. Now, to work the wrist, and that was obviously for the wrist flexors. To work the extensors, which is this way, you're going to just move to the other side. Okay? I mean, you could just, you know, unwrap it and rewrap it, but to me it's just more efficient to just step around. So, same thing. Now I'm up off the ground. Notice I'm at an off angle. I'll get over here so you can see better. That's the other nice thing. You can grip this thing anywhere when it's suspended. I'm at an off angle, and you got to squeeze as far over as I can go. Now you notice this isn't sanded very well, so my grip is slipping. Alright, now, like I said, you want to get like 80 grit sandpaper. I used old 220 because that's all I had, and it's just not good enough. So get that 80, get this nice and smooth, nice and rough, and then if you need to, wrap it in athletic tape. The rough surface will help the tape stick. Either way, whatever you do, get grip on here. And using chalk never hurts either. So once you've got it set up, that's it. I want to show you guys how this tears down. Boom, done. That's it. You got your rings, you have a centerpiece. This PVC is strong enough for me to do pull-ups on with this on it. Because of the physics, this thicker pipe really doesn't flex very well. That's all you do to put it together. Slip it through. Simple as can be. Takes up no storage space. I mean, unless you count the space it takes for a broomstick. So I would suggest getting the PVC because it's very convenient, it's very cheap, and it's more than up to the task. If you see that I am able to hang, no problem. Okay? So you can rest assured that this is going to support 225 pounds with no problem. Alright? And by the time you guys are using 225 pounds on something like this, you are a super beast. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is how you put it together. I showed you how to use it, and I've explained what some of the benefits are. It's not worth going into super duper detail on these. As I start putting together instructional DVDs for athletes, then we'll start going into more detail. But even then, it's got to be digestible. It's got to be understandable. The science is not as important to understand in detail as is proper application. Okay? And sometimes the science helps explain that. Other times it just makes things very confusing. So I hope you guys liked it. This is really simple. You don't need this huge pipe. This just happens to be what I have. If you want to take this to a gym, I would suggest that you keep your center pipe, whatever your dowel is, at about 30 inches. This is 24 inches. Alright, you just buy this at Home Depot, that pre-cut pipe. It's cheap, and you don't have to waste all the rest of it or find something to do with it. Then when you're using your center pipe, what you would do is you make it at about 30 inches, and then you could either put flanges, or, I mean, it really doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do to make the ends thicker so that they don't slip through the rings. Or you could just use a longer pipe. I mean, whatever you want. But whatever you do, have a good time, do it safely, use common sense, and if you're not sure if something's going to work, test it out. If you have a good 6 to 8 inches sticking out of each side of the rings, you're safe. So realistically, a 36-inch piece of pipe would be more than enough. In fact, you could even go smaller if you put your rings over a pull-up bar or a support. I mean, you just have to have enough space for one hand. That's another beauty of this. I mean, as long as you've got space for the rope to wrap and your hand to grab, you're good. So you notice this is way bigger than it needs to be. It just so happens that my setup allows for this. I don't think there's anything else to say. I'm sure we'll have a lot of comments. You know, if you got questions, let me know. If I don't get back to you, it's because I'm busy, but I will eventually, unless it's just something really inane. But for the most part, I do a good job of responding. As people start coming to my channel more, it's going to be harder for me to respond to everybody, so if there are multiple questions of the same kind, I'm only going to answer them once. So if you haven't seen a reply to your comment in probably over 2 weeks, check back and check the comments page. It's probably because I've answered the question with someone else. Okay? And I just don't have time to tell everybody, hey, this is this. I ended up being a babysitter, and that just isn't what I do. So that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and have a great day. So, Lizard Man out.